Okay, I could, it's safe to say I could do things, I promise. My model wasn't so small. No, I leave it at least 5 minutes. I mean, like, you can never be at the Disney, okay. Here we go. I try and wait at least 5 minutes. Like this, okay, look, it's been 6 minutes. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't, just shush. Shh, I'm here now. It's okay. Everything's gonna be okay. Get ad break. That's what you get. That's what you get for judging me. Your feet hurt? Unfortunate. I'm pausing this because I really want to get into Dollmare. I love it. I have no idea. Like, I know what the game's about. You know, dolls. I'm glad you're enjoying the ads that you've been sent to. And dolls scattered around. That's good enough. My screens are really dark. Even in this game, every playthrough is slightly different. Many events in the game are not scripted, meaning that what you encounter is unique only for you. You will not be chased by a monster, nothing will scream or jump in your face, but it's still a horror game. Prepare being scared. Sick and twisted humor. I don't know what ads you have. I'm so confused. Threaten bills. Liking ads, okay. I don't know. I get ads for like movies that I want to watch. Like 28 Years Later, I think is the new one that's coming out. And then though I keep getting ads for Final Destination Bloodlines, which I went and saw, which is really good, which I highly recommend. That's waiting for me inside. Instacart. I have no idea what that is. No movie trailers? Unfortunate.
New guy, you're finally here. Welcome to the Sweet Cheeks Factory. Press the green button to enter.
I'm so good at my job.
The work is already waiting.
I'm
First, go to the locker room and put on your uniform.
okay. But like, let me be good at my job. I'm assuming it's a light one. Okay.
All right, now hurry up and go to the workshop.
I'm so good. What do I do?
Welcome to your workplace.
Okay.
Get used to seeing it a lot. Your job is to check the quality of all the dolls. A doll passes the check. Put it on the conveyor on the right. A doll is broken or is missing something. Throw it in the trash. You can find the detailed instructions on the nearby table. Now get to work. Press the green button to start your shift.
You gonna...
I hope you don't fail as miserably as the previous guy.
You gonna watch me my entire shift? Don't mix up the pants and shirt. Didn't mix up pants and shirt. Hold on, what am I supposed to be looking for? Hold up. Dolphin effect carefully. What? Okay, what's... Okay, all body parts, all fingers, no dents. Okay, come here. You have 5 fingers, you have 5 fingers. You look like you are balding. Like from the wrong angle. Yeah. Bro's balding. Fingers, you have all your limbs. Oh, you seem fine. Hopefully. Just pretend we're not here. The evaluation isn't meant to stress or scare you. Got it. I'll just... Sweetheart, you were missing an eyeball. Ding, ding, ding. Previous error, none. There was a... Oh, I didn't mess up? Okay. What do you mean? What do you mean another red pen? For Luffy! Does he have dents in his legs, or is that just leg fat? I think that's just leg fat. Oh, that's a woman. You're fine.
The clothes of this doll are damaged. How did you miss such an obvious thing?
Where were they damaged?
Oh, I almost forgot to tell you one more thing. Here at the factory, we have some special protocols that must be followed carefully. One of these protocols is to keep all doors closed at all times. But seems like you already follow this protocol. Good job.
Luffy! I heard you were taking a week away. I am gonna give the baby body dysmorphia. Do you have damaged clothes too that I'm just not missing? Yep, all your fingers, you got all your fingers. You got all your toesies. That's look like 10, you got no dents. You may be bald, but you got no dents. You're fine. Please. Oh, thank God. All your fingers, all your fingers, all your toes, all your limbs. No dents, I don't think. You're fine. Please? Please be fine? Okay, cool. I'm good. It's a woman. What do you mean? Hey, buddy. Next, please. You saw that, right? Sir? Okay. You okay? Just what do you mean the goon doll? Your clothes, all your fingers, all your toes. No dents. Balding, but no dents. Okay. I can do this. I got this. I'm so good. You, my friend, have damaged clothes. Right there. Is that what the damaged clothes look like? That's so dumb. Okay. All your fingers, all your toes. No dents, no damaged clothes. Please? Okay, cool. This still looks fine to me. You're really working out money from... what the fuck? Was that open? What the fuck? If it's edging me. We see reading chat to pay attention. Again. Come on, buddy. Back in the hole you go. Not like crippled beef. You okay? You got all your fingers, no damaged clothes, no dents. Doesn't have an arm doesn't mean he's bad. And that's quite literally all body parts present for a working doll. Maybe your fingers needed. Selective I know, right? They're so mean. So harsh. Okay, cool, thank God. When am I done at work? I've been here for like 6 hours. Let me go. You are missing fingers. And the dog comes out and the back is open with like black tendrils. Look, if I got an Eldritch Horror doll, I'm taking that home for myself. Doll is mine now.
What the hell? The generator is shut down. Follow the emergency lights downstairs and turn the damn thing back on.
Don't make me go somewhere dark. Imagine you hold the doll, just start screaming. Well, I mean, there is a voice box feature later on, and I know that for sure. Can I go home? Can I quit? Hello? Okay. I'll take that as I can't quit. Is that blood? You guys are really scared? Yeah, shut up. You guys are... Okay, can I go home?
Finally, what took you so long? Whatever, your job is done for today.
Okay.
Go home and rest now. Don't think too hard about what happened.
What do you mean door is locked? Does it come because it appears on a red light? Maybe. Just a bunch of, these lights on. Bunch of door come. Okay, so I don't take my clothes off. Cool. Good to know. I do want to go home. I don't like it here. How much money I get? I did a lot of good job. I got $250.
Fine, it's adequate. But don't think I'm impressed. There's always room for improvement.
The doll factory experience. Yeah. Okay, hold on. What can I get? I can buy things. Okay. Do I have to buy the spinner first? I got the spinner and the puzzle toy. What can I get? Yeah, I'm wasting my money immediately. First day at the factory, there's something strange about this place, though I can't quite put my finger on it. At least I got paid. Keep telling myself tomorrow will be better, but deep down I'm not so sure anymore. Are there secret notes I'm supposed to be looking for? Get some food and exit, bitch. What if I don't want food? Maybe they feed.
You have a lot of work today.
Shut up. What if they feed me here? You don't know that.
Go to the utility room on your way to the workshop and grab a bucket. The ceiling in the workshop is leaking a bit.
Oh, I'm already in my work clothes. Why am I sorting dolls? The director always knows when I sorted them wrong, down to the slightest defect. What's the point of me being here? Can you wait? Okay, well. They feed you here? Yeah, maybe. That's his name. His name is K. Did I close the door? I did not close the door. Hold on. Goodbye, random doll body parts. And then workshop. Lights. Okay.
I have improved the dolls. Now they have a voice function. So now you have to check if it works as intended. Check the rules for details.
Oh, yo! Yo! You worked at a factory before? No, I have not. Yo, wait, thank you so much for following. Okay, tilt the doll and then bring it back to an upright position. Activate the voice function. Make sure it doesn't say anything. Okay, so make sure it doesn't say fuck. Got it. Okay, look, you seem fine. Jesus Christ, that's a big bald spot. You got all your fingers. Okay, you're not missing anything. No movement? It's supposed to mean no movement. Yo, you know what? Real and true. It's confirmed they're not alive. Okay, fine. Okay, that's the company. You only say sweet cheeks. Some FNAF shit? Probably, yeah. Did he say bitches? No, he said sweet cheeks. Look, let's do it again. That better? You got it that time? Sweet cheeks count
Oh, I
too.
forgot to mention. From time to time, we get custom requests for special types of dolls. You will find all related instructions and the order itself on the right table. Every completed order significantly increases your paycheck, so don't mess it up.
Okay, so yellow eyes, denim dress, colors should say hello. So this, right? Are these orange eyes? Look, I'm gonna put you there for now. Okay, I must pay a ton for that doll too. Probably. Yellow eyes, denim dress clothes. Should say hello. Yeah, okay, so what do I do? Where do I go? What boxes do I need? What do I do? Okay. Denim's a material. Utility and exit. Fulfillment? I want fulfillment. Yeah, hold up. I saw one of those blinks when I turned away. Maybe it's just me. No wonder with no people around. I hope I'm not going crazy. Them jeans. Look. Yeah, they're probably. Probably, but like. It's fine. Put the doll in. No! We're not putting a doll in a jar. It's not happening.
Good. It seems like you understand how this works. Now let's continue with your usual work.
Usual. Okay. So no more putting dolls in boxes? That's not a thing anymore? Got to have kick stream? Oh my god. That the white thingies? It's fine. It stands up on its own. What do you say? What do you say? You know what? You should do that. Yeah, how about you try flying down here? Tell me how well it goes. That blink?
That was very nice.
Yeah, you blinked.
Get.
Here's no animation. You throw the dolls down the disposal, just gone. I think it would be funnier to see the dolls flying down the disposal. I think that'd be great.
Hurts it. I can't feel it.
Oh, honey, I'm so sorry.
Please make it.
Did I fix it? You're like creepy as shit.
Hello.
But you seem fine. As long as you don't have any, like, missing fingers or anything. Oh my god, finally. Go. With his animations whenever a jump scare. Oh my god, I know. Order 2. Blue eyes, denim dress clothes, sweet cheeks. Blue eyes, denim dress clothes, sweet cheeks. So not you. Oh, hello. Why babies are all fat? Because they're babies. They're supposed to be fat. Hey buddy, how about you just look down there?
Hello.
I don't want the doll to watch me change. Oh, you got ripped clothes, I'm sorry. When is this, order doll gonna come through?
Hello.
Yeah, fine.
What's wrong again? The conveyor seems to be stuck. Go to the assembly room further down the corridor and fix it.
Okay. There's the assembly. That way. Fulfillment. Assembly. Jesus. There's so many dolls. What? Are you factory worker, maintenance, and also security? I don't know, but it's a good paying job. Yeah, but there's no one here. Oh, note, note, note! A few weeks in, I still haven't seen anyone else. All I've got is the director's voice and loudspeakers. He's always watching. I can feel it. Does he ever leave? Okay. The answer is no, he does not. So. Like, slender. Yeah, pages. Did you just tell me not to come back? I like to see you try and live in the world with these prices. Why does the power go out every time there's a what? Huh? What's the note back there? Holy shit, I almost missed that. No tracks, no raw materials. How does this place even work? I looked for info about this place but found nothing. Yet the dolls just keep coming. I need to sort them. Someone was making them here. The babies? I mean, yeah, it's a factory. I would assume that the dolls are being made here. I don't get why the room was so big. Am I? Okay, so I'm not seeing things. It is backwards. You're broken. It was jumbo. Okay. Same thing, basically. Basically the same. You have no head. What do you say, though? Can't say anything. So why is this... My bucket! Stole my bucket. What do you mean the shit bucket? It's my favorite bucket. Blue eyes, denim. Do you say sweet cheeks?
Sweet cheeks.
Oh, thank God. Finally. Okay. So, you said I don't go to the bathroom. I don't need this shit. I've never needed this shit. In my life, ever. Hey. It's fine. Please say something evil. Is that... Yeah, no, women don't shit. I to break it to you, but you don't have assholes. Am I doing good enough for you? Bitch? Honey, you don't have an eye. What do you say, though?
That was very nice.
Okay, well, this isn't about to be nice. Cam, she blinking at me? What do you mean, smash? The event of phantom footsteps echoing the factory halls. Do not attempt to flee or hide. Stand perfectly still, move the center spear. What?
Open the window and fly.
Okay, you can fly. Sometimes we footsteps just stay still. I don't want to stay still. I want to beat them up.
Hello.
Hi. Jesus Christ, you look like you're balding. Other than that, you're fine. Are you okay? Okay, you were in the quiet place? Oh. Yeah, still no.
I love you.
And I love you too, random stranger. Huh? Okay, that is you moving. Okay, cool. Like, what the fuck am I hearing clicking?
That was
I'm sure it was. Seem fine, right? You got all your fingers, all your toes, you're good. I want to flip him off. I can't. That's around. That was very nice. You have any damages on you? Because I really don't want to send you through.
Sweet cheeks. Sweet cheeks. Sweet cheeks.
Wait.
Sweet cheeks. Sweet cheeks. Sweet cheeks.
I don't know if that's supposed to be like. Okay, so I'm not seeing things. Cool. I was panicking that they were just all like that and I was just seeing things.
That was very nice.
I'm sure. I just saw your eyes move.
All right, that's all for today. You can go. Bring the bucket back to the utility room on your way.
Okay. Bucket. Turn your lights off. You shouldn't be Don't come tomorrow. Does the roof magically not drip when you're not working? Yeah, I think so. I think time just stops uh when I'm not working. You let me place the thing? You going in there. The director. Okay, cool. Okay. Uh, what? Why does he get to be employee of the month? I'm the only one working here. That's some bullshit. How much should I get? Yo, I got
Not bad. For once. But don't push your luck next time.
$800. Yo. Uh. What do I get? Do I get the toy bear, the motivator, or the jack-o'-lantern? What am I buying with my $800? I would love to get $800 like a day for work. Fan? Yeah, but I can still get another thing. I was gonna get the fan and the mug, but like jack-o'-lantern. I'll forget mug and the motivator. The fan wasn't 300. The fan was 200. I was like, press that. Yeah, I need to be motivated, okay? Actually, no, I'm getting the toy bear. I need affection. I've made it through another shift. It all seemed different today. Their eyes, I swear they followed me as I moved across the factory. I kept telling myself it's all in my head, but this place, it's getting to me. I can feel it. So, good or bad? Chose copium instead of therapy. I did, I did. Good to know. Look at him. Right there. And then you can go right there. Feels more like FNAF with the fan. New employee. I've got some business to handle. Also, don't be around the factory today. It's a new task for you. We've got a bunch of dolls that are missing eyes, hands, legs. Head starting instruction have to fill it in. You'll find all the info you need. You'll need repairing behind you. Don't mess up. Okay, okay. So, Bert couldn't even learn my name. So do we... Jesus. This is the repair room. If a doll's missing body parts, place it on the holding stand attached to missing lips. Doll's missing hair. Special tool behind the... use it to create new hair. Do not put a head inside. Head inside a hair dryer. Someone tried once. It didn't end well. Get back to work. Okay. Cool. When are y'all gonna disappear? Oh! Missing an arm. Come on. Okay, what's that? Your left arm? Right hand? Left leg? Left... No. Shh. You otherwise fine? Or what do you say?
That was very nice.
Okay. Ginger mechanic go crazy. It does. Oh my god. The fuck was that? Are they seeing things? What the fuck? Hello. Nothing wrong with you? There you go. Is that the fucking girl from The Ring? Hi, Seal. Well, hey, no taking my fidget spinners. Right, yay. Hi, Ali. If anything wrong with you, you do not. Hello. I'm so good. I'm so good at this game. How was Overcooked? I hope it was good. Me, the game's going great. Actually, okay, not as scary as I thought it'd be, but really cool. Don't blink too often. I don't get this one. I'm so good at this game. Shh. I am goated, okay? Bro, it's a horror game. We finished up World 2? Oh my god. Yeah. That's great. God, I wish I could play Overcooked, but I know I'd get so, like, mad. Okay, come on. Time to get you some head. So I'd, like, play it by myself, but I think that'd be torture. Where are the heads? Where do you store your heads? What eyeballs do you want? What eyeballs do we give him? Let's give him blue eyes. Come on. Oh, this one. Should have been me, not him. Oh, look, you've got blue hair and pronouns now. Congratulations. You don't say anything evil, do you? Okay, good. Oh no, it's a feminist. Oh god, are you wearing gym outfit? Scariest fucking thing I've ever seen. What do you mean? A feminist? Hello? You done? Okay, cool. The doll? Oh. Why does she look like she got scoliosis? She got back problems. The hellfire is escaping.
I love you.
I love you too, doll. You are getting me lots of money. Goodbye. Thank God. Yo, was that Jacksepticeye? Holy shit. If you parasocialize, shut up. This doll loves me. Loves me more than you guys do.
Sweet cheeks.
The fuck did my vision go grey? Excuse me. Assholes. Isn't observed with it as a single yellow eye. Oh, okay. And though it said, like it said the previous era was swearing, but it said sweet cheeks. The fuck is giggling? Out of here, you giggly bitch. I'm not. I can't jump over that. You like a schoolgirl? Yo, what the fuck? Yeah, fuck that. Oh, it's. You like an angel or something? What's going on here?
Sweet cheeks.
You say.
Sweet cheeks.
Oh, was it teeth? Ah, maybe.
That was very nice.
Thank you. Who is. What do you mean footsteps? Am I hearing things that are you hearing things that I'm not? Time to get you some head. Come on. Make your eyes green. I'll probably echo into the room. Yeah, but it sounded like hitting pipes and stuff. You know? Instead of like footsteps. Sound like pipes. Don't say illegal things, do you?
Sweet cheeks.
Okay, good. Oh my god, aren't you just the cutest little thing? Are you the one that I'm looking for? Here's an unobserved, withered appearance, single yellow eye. Okay, yeah, it's you. Cool, let's go. You're coming with me. Stand corrected? Yeah, you should be corrected. Lights on, please. You're here. Wait, if it moves when unobserved. Okay, no, it's good. I was gonna say, if it just... Oh my god, it's Elsie. Hi, Elsie. Hello, Elsie. Oh my god, it's my favorite. Hello. What? Want this game? It's so good. Oh Can I leave, please? Oh, okay. If you're reading this, you've been trapped from the door's room shut and you can't get out, right? Colton now said thank you. Oh yeah, Dollmare. Need to play more indie horrors. I think everyone needs to play more indie horrors, just like in general. Don't panic, there's a way out. I squeezed the lift shaft and pressed the dispatch button. Took me from another place to where I found my way back to my workplace. I'm leaving this note in the shaft in case you get stuck too. I hope you manage to escape and figure out what's going on. If I have it already. The worker before you. Hey! Find a way out. Maybe probably playtime. I have the Plus what is for the fourth time last week. Unfortunate. I have like 2 endings left to get. And the only reason I was like 1 ending left actually. I want to get Poppy Playtime, but I want to get like all of the chapters that are out at the same time. I want to get all them at once. Jesus Christ. Like I want to get them all at once so I can like have like a long ass stream for it. But it's like $60 for them all. Oh, yo, another note. Why is bigger than I thought? Why was it built this way? Why are there so many boxes? And why can't I find an exit? 24-hour poppy stream. Look, if I had the DLC in all chapters, yeah, I would. I got a crowbar. Yo. 24-hour horror? You know what? I'm thinking about it. I might do it. Am I even going the right way? Jesus Christ. I will take that as a no. Is it finished? I don't think all the chapters are out yet. I don't know if I'm going the right way. You're really still alive, hopefully, but trap. The doors here lead nowhere. The stairs bring you back to east side. No exit. Follow the blinking light if you want to get out. Just don't let them catch you. What do you mean? What do you mean don't let them catch me? The fuck do you mean don't let them catch me? Son of a bitch! That one. That one. I hate this so much. Okay, this way. What the fuck? I don't like this. I don't like... Me walking so smoothly on boxes. I have no idea. And it scares me. Am I free? Door is locked. Are they all locked? Yeah, they're all locked. I'm gonna check them all just in case. Like Jesus, but with boxes? How the fuck did I get to the utility room? Stop giggling at me, you evil bitch. Back to work I go, I guess? I don't know. Your hair is pretty.
Sweet cheeks.
Cool. Do you have anything wrong with you?
Sweet cheeks.
You fine. You fell asleep in there or something. Yeah, probably. I passed out. Oh, my friend. Close that door. Ain't doing that. Ain't doing this shit. It talked too much. Probably, yeah. Anything wrong with ya? Outright? Nothing outright, but...
I love you.
Cool, good to know. You seem fine. Please don't be wrong. Okay, thank God. I'm so paranoid about being wrong now.
I want to squirt.
Okay, cool. What happens if I'm wrong? I get money taken away. She gets scolded. Yeah, look, if I get it wrong, I get a big, it's a... Okay, to be fair, it is a doll of a baby, so... Yes, you can't really say much. Okay, back to this thing. What do you got for me?
Hello.
Hello. You have all your fingers, all your toes, you got nothing wrong with you, so... I think okay. What do you mean behind me?
I love you. I hate you. I love you. I hate you. Hello. 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 I love you. I love you.
Okay, cool. You have all your toes with me. Make our wish shadows a big.
I love you.
I don't. So please stop. All your fingers, all your toes.
I love you.
You don't curse at the world, you got no damages to your clothes, you're fine. You're fine, you can go to a loving family, it's okay. Justin Bieber looking ass. Why are the body parts raining from the sky? Come, come. Hey, Floofy, do you want it? Oh, I do not like you. Are you what's been giggling this entire time? Uh-huh, yeah, sure, sweet cheeks.
Sweet cheeks.
Uh-huh, sweet cheeks. Whatever you say, buddy. You and me both. I know, so funny. Just stay down there. Oh, he's getting burnt, don't worry. You have a needle left arm and I threw one down here. Earlier. What the clown? Yeah, get rid of the clown doll. I'm not keeping that shit. I'm sorry, I just wanted to get rid of it. It had the clown juices on it. What do you say?
Sweet cheeks.
Okay, do you have any damages to you? No, okay. You fixed it and threw it away. Yeah, because throwing away dolls with missing limbs is illegal. Can I go make another doll?
This is an automatic message from the director. If you're listening to this, it means you've done your job for today and can go home now. Thank you for your service.
What if I don't want to? I don't want to go home. And I keep working. I fixed it. It had clown juices on it. I won't touch no clown juices. I'm doing this. I just throw him in the trash. He had bad vibes. I didn't work at a Lolito establishment. I fucked up like 3, didn't I? I still got
You have managed to do
600.
your basic responsibilities on your workplace while I was absent. Good. Keep it up.
Look, I didn't do that bad. How much? $1,000 for a crowbar? You know what? We're not buying anything to like get that crowbar. I wanna work his. No, you don't. I promise you, you do not. Damn, can't afford rent. But that room with the boxes, I still can't shake it. There were so many stacked, but none of them seemed ready to ship. They just sat there as if they were meant to stay. Should have run the moment I got out. Every part of me was screwed this place for good. But here I am, like something's pulling me back in. Why do I keep coming back? Because the money's good. You get like $200 for every bonus order you do.
Late again, aren't you? Now get to work. You're already behind.
Kiss my ass. You're lucky I'm even coming into work. Don't have to come to work. Don't have to work for your ass.
A
That was a
new
note.
defect has been discovered. Some of the dolls contain foreign objects. I've installed a special X-ray machine for you to detect these. It's not clear which dolls are defective, so you better check them all.
No foreign objects inside the doll. Why the fuck? Why the fuck are the dolls coming with like shit inside of them? Is there a fucking spider in that doll? Okay, come on. I have to put you on the good one. Jesus Christ. Nothing. Okay.
That was very nice.
You have shot.
Very nice.
Okay, cool. Never mind. I was about to say you were fine, but clearly not. Jesus. This is a part-time job. Speak to me. Okay, do you have any damages to you? Getting more than 500 a day. The fly. Okay, I was trying to figure out what it was. Bro, this job. It's just throwing dolls away at this point. You may be a dapper little man, but you could. Sorry, what the fuck? You can just stand there for a second. There's a note here. It's so much more important. No one knows about the factory. No one even heard about it. Dolls aren't being sold anywhere. Sweet cheeks. Is this place even real? Wait, so if the dolls aren't being fucking sent anywhere, what am I doing? Come on.
That was very nice.
Okay. Nothing. It damages. You got all your fingers and all your toes. You're good. This is so dumb. I was like, what am I doing? If they aren't being sent anywhere, why am I here?
Can you read?
Okay. Probably.
Sweet cheeks.
Sweet cheeks. Do you have anything in you? No, you good? Okay, cool. That little clown motherfucker's back. I thought I got rid of you. You're missing your right leg. There's a note there. I'll grab that in a second. Something's changing in me. I don't feel right. My reflection in the mirror doesn't look like me anymore. The director knows he's doing this. Job's too good to be true. The pay is way too high. You need to stop thinking about the pay of this job and start thinking about what's actually happening. You say anything bad?
Hello.
Nah, you good. Still gonna chuck you in the X-ray. You're fine. This game people run where they offer you high money at first and then just do a rug pull. So like crypto. Let's put you in the thingy. In the thing you go. Okay. Cool. I had to double check. Then turn you into a doll. In the event you encounter a clown doll displaying prank-like behavior. Significant symbols that action me. Dispose it all with any such. Okay, so do what I did with it all last time I saw it. Got it.
Sweet cheeks.
Yep, sweet cheeks to you too, little doll. No, wait, you're correct. I'm thinking too much about, like... There's too much wrong with this. I'm not smart.
I love you.
Cool, good to know. You're fine. I'm getting good. I'm learning. Creepy ass thing.
I love you.
Okay. Are you gonna love me if I find out you got stuff inside you? Is that a fucking... Okay, that's a brass knuckle. Cool. Good to know. Good to know. Just what my son needs. Are you...
Sweet cheeks.
I don't think you're supposed to be that big. I'm gonna take a drink real quick. Okay. You. Do you have anything wrong with you?
That was very nice.
Good to know. Good to know. All your fingers, all your toes. No damage to your clothes or anything inside you. No. So if something was wrong. Okay, thank God. I don't know why I took this job.
Hello.
Hi. I feel like you got something. You don't. Because money? I mean, like, yeah, I guess, but why? I don't know why I would do this. You have no head. Let's go. I will not go away. Stop telling me to. What are yellow eyes? Look at that. I'm doing such a good job. Jesus Christ.
That was very nice.
Cool. I just double check. Good look, there's still a chance that this room is basically a torture room. It might be, honestly. I know I just fixed it, but there still could be something inside. These are employees. I don't. They are not. They're just dolls, okay?
Hey, it's me, Kay. Look, I know you're shocked, but there's not time for that. Pick me up, please.
What the fuck?
Now go and hide us somewhere while the director is not looking. The locker room should be safe.
The fucking locker room? Creepy ass fucker.
Close the door.
I did.
Now listen closely.
I hate how close you are to my
It
ears.
wasn't always like this. I came here for a job, just like you. Day by day, I started noticing things.
Shut up!
Strange things. Before I knew it, I wasn't me anymore. It
Okay.
was him who did this to me, the director. And it's going to happen to you too, if you don't stop it.
What the hell? Why is the workplace empty? Get back immediately!
Damn it, he's back already. I don't have much time left, and neither do you. Look, there is still a chance for you, but you will have to trust me. I will reach out to you in a few days. Be ready.
I said get back to your workplace. I'll write it off your paycheck.
Now bring me back to the workshop and approve me, as if nothing happened.
I just took a doll with me to the bathroom. His voice is not.
You're thinking, but there is no point in trying not to come back to the factory. It already has its grip on you. Things would only get worse. Your only chance is solving the problem here.
Just shut up. Just shut up and go away.
What the hell was that? Where were you? You
Peeing.
think the dolls are going to sort themselves? Come on, get moving.
I was pissing. Just in overalls. Oh, that's easy. These aren't overalls, right? No, those are suspenders.
That was very nice.
Does this fucker keep coming up? Okay.
The director is lying to you.
Cool. Love that.
Sweet cheeks.
Sweet cheeks. Luffy, I would like to remind you that I have not played this game before.
Check
What?
carefully. This doll has something
Kiss
on
my
it.
ass. Don't talk to dolls, they lie. The fuck? Doing down there?
I love you.
Fine.
Can you bleed?
Probably? I don't know. I haven't tried making myself bleed.
I love you.
And you're fine. Surely. Okay, cool. Your limbs are all fucked up. That's an immediate no. Go away.
Okay, you're done for today. You're allowed to go home now.
I'm glad I've been granted permission. Thanks. Bite me. It's the wrong way. I don't like how it feels like this gets longer every time. Jesus. Day 4.
It's acceptable, but don't get comfortable. I've seen better from amateurs.
Well, there wasn't any overalls before I finished my thing. I'm getting my crowbar. Saw him today, or what's left of him. The worker before me, the one who disappeared. He's still here, but he's a doll now. He spoke to me, said the director did this to him, that everything is a lie, and that I'm next. I should have left while I had the chance, but it's too late now. Decided in the factory, it can only end here. And there's blood.
Another day, another chance to prove you're barely competent. Get moving.
Okay. Stop. It's fine. A hidden markings.
Listen up. We've got a new problem on our hands.
Doll booth while holding a doll.
Some
With
of
doll
the
machine
dolls
with
have a paint
markings.
defect, but you can only see it under a UV lamp. There's a UV booth ready for you. Get in there and make sure every doll is checked.
Or, how about, fuck that. Make a... Yo?
What are you doing?
I wanted to.
Enough. You are still breathing just because I think you might be somewhat useful.
I understand.
I wonder why you can still speak and act on your own. But with this stuffed doll, you're completely under my control. Now go away. Make sure the new guy ends up in the disposal. Otherwise, it will be you.
This is ongoing. Subject is from the same trade that remains some independent thought. Further conditioning requires to ensure full compliance. What a potential needed. What the fuck? It's fine. Everything's fine.
Hello.
Hi. You have anything on you? In you, I mean. Nothing in you. Didn't have anything wrong. Oh, okay, never mind. Stand corrected.
I love you.
Good to know. Okay, you're fine. Ugh, my eye.
That was very nice.
Don't have any. Okay, I don't have any. Fine. Like blood on you or something? Um. Gotta fix that. That back on. Some blue eyes this time. What? Let's just get going. It's a hard game. It's probably blood. Probably, but I should make sure your face is all good. You find that. Is the original head? Hold up. Did the original have has stuff on it? It did not. Okay. No way you're floating. That's weird. Okay. Just get through today.
I love you.
Good to know. Nothing. You're fine. There's something in my eye and I'm wide. Must have blue eyes. Because that helps. I could just make this one have blue eyes. Stop telling me what to do. Can I just make them all have blue eyes? Must have blue eyes. Okay, that's it. Does the dolls amount thing mean that they'd want more than it eventually? Or like... I'm going insane. And touch the order slip. Does it look like blood? Has it always been like that? I'm worried that it's always been like that. I just haven't heard. Okay, never mind. Probably has, and I'm just too stupid to notice. Okay, next doll.
Sweet cheeks.
Sweet cheeks indeed. I hate you. Creepy little fucking clown thing. Jesus.
I love you.
What you got? What problem do you have? You seem to be okay. Hopefully. Like, if you're not...
Sweet cheeks.
Yep, sweet cheeks. I know there's a fire.
Something odd with the colors of this doll. Don't forget to check them with UV lights.
I did! What? I did! But
That was very nice.
I'm sure you think it was.
That was very nice.
But I did it! I did! I did the thing I had to. It's a bullshit job. You don't have an arm. Let's go get you an arm.
You shouldn't be here.
Shh. Shut your mouth.
That was very nice.
I just fixed it, but I can't be too sure. Okay. And then you go in there, and then you're fine. Oh, I gotta stretch. Stop beeping at me. It's too cold for this shit. Stop it.
That was very nice.
I'm glad. You're fine, you're fine.
Pay attention. This doll is missing some fingers.
I... This
That
game...
was very nice.
This game is gonna be the death of me. And nothing. All your fingers and all your toes. And no damage to your clothes. Go. What do you mean?
We will hide and you have to find us. Let's go.
I don't want to play this game. Oh, there's a note here. Self reflections per second to recognize our own faces, ever mind. No, I don't think it was. Can I quit? Shut up. I don't know what the fuck I was supposed to be doing here. Like, I get trying to find them, but... Oh, there you are.
Whoops.
It's one doll found.
Are you scared?
No, I'm not. Shut up. That's two.
Uh-oh.
Need one more. I mean, it's making me get all the notes that I missed. Nothing up. Could they be downstairs? Where is this last doll? You under here? Oh my god, there you are.
Ah, you got me.
I did.
You've got to be kidding me. Gone again? I didn't say you could leave. Stop slacking and get back to work.
Okay, I guess I just can't ever go to the bathroom. Jesus. And they got no head again. And then press that. Oh, my poor back. It's too cold to exist today. It's like fucking 6 degrees last night. I still gotta check you because I can't trust it. Not just anything in this fucking game. Hello. If anything on you so I can throw you away. No. If anything in you so I can throw you away. Damn it. Okay. Go. And check your fingers or toes, but you're fine. What the fuck's my button? Where the fuck did you put my button? You can't just steal that from me.
The others never left.
And never, yeah, I know. Kind of figured that. I don't know why I tried making him speak. His mouth is very clearly sewn shut. Just realized my mic was covering my mouth.
I love you.
So it wasn't registering my mouth movements. Anything? No? Okay, you suck. Your fingies? Yep, okay. Get. Okay. Let's have gray eyes. Okay, that's it. Blue eyes.
That was very nice.
Same thing, you know? Right.
Don't let him catch you.
Stop talking to me, you freaks. Okay, you're fine. Right? Stop it. Get back in there. You have gray eyes, right?
Hello.
Make sure you don't have anything in you. Okay, you're fine. Let's go get a box quickly. Get the box. Stop talking to me. Whispering my ears. That actually scared me a little bit. Why is this clown so adamant to just be near me? Trying to work here. Okay.
I hate you.
Cool. Cool.
I love you.
No. I don't trust it. Yup. There it is. Knew there was something off about your face. Something just screamed wrong to me. That also.
Don't throw me away. I want to live.
I don't care. I have a job to do and I want money, so.
Hello.
This is fine. Oh, my neck. I swear.
Hello.
Okay. go back to doing my job. Fuck that.
Sweet cheeks.
Oh, you're missing fingers.
That was very nice.
I'm glad you think it was. How many fucking employees has this place had? If they're all here and they're all different looking. All different looking enough. Creepy motherfuckers. All of them, I swear. All your fingies. All your toes. No outward damage to your clothes. You're fine. Surely.
Okay, you have done enough for today. Go home and rest. Tomorrow is going to be different. I will be waiting for you.
Okay. I guess. I don't know. I can't fix you. It's too late for you guys. All I can do is save myself. And that's what I'm gonna do, because fuck the rest of you. You guys stayed here. That's not my problem. Yo,
Well, you managed not to be a disaster
$960.
today. Let's see if you can keep it up.
You, you, and I got everything. Something different about today. I can feel the factory even when I'm not there. It's like it knows I'm coming back, like it's been waiting for this. The dolls, those eyes, they linger in my mind. Watching, always watching. I don't know why, but it feels like they're waiting for me too. I thought about not going back, but deep down, I know I have no choice. Something's waiting for me inside, and I can't avoid it any longer. So, is this like the last day? Okay, cool. Everything's. Don't like any of this. Stop. I don't wanna. Of course, the first one I pick breaks and falls down. A cactus. Success comes to those who don't ask for a break. Previous Eric coming back here. I have a job to do, alright? I just dispose. They approve? Does just everything go through? Shit, easy money. Jesus. Okay. Fuck that. That was bullshit. Oh, fuck. I don't know where to go. There's no, like, door. Right? Is there a door? Oh, there's this. Okay, so I could die. Hurry, 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 hurry. Damn it! Okay. Wait for it to go. Hurry, 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 hurry. Okay, let it go up. Bring it back down. Now I go. Jesus. Hey, don't like that. Fuck that. Big fat to that. Thank you very much. Where's the valve I'm missing then? They told me I was supposed to grab one back there. Fuck's sake. Oh, thank God. I would have hated it if I had to go all the way back through that. I want them on. I don't know where I need them, but I want them on.
Hey, I'm here. Thank you for throwing that doll from the director's room.
You're
We're not
welcome.
under his control now, but we need to act quickly. I will meet you at the end of this prison. See you there.
Where do I...
Take care of yourself. Just don't let the others catch you.
What? Okay. What others? What? No, I don't want to play. I don't want to play games. I'm already playing a game. I don't play your games. Okay, well, I tried. Where the fuck am I supposed to go? Shut up. I very much should be here. Eh. I don't wanna. I can't help you guys. Creepy motherfucker, Jesus. I can't help you guys. This is on you. Stuffed doll in his room. It's somehow attached to it. I'm somehow attached to it. Can't say it. I destroy it. I will be free. I am running. Thank you very much. I'm running as fast as I damn well can. I've got little legs.
Behind you. Are you still alive?
Yes.
Open the window.
Stop.
You shouldn't be here. Run away. We're money worth it. We are
I don't like that.
Hey, over here.
Okay.
Do you see all of these pipes? Some sort of gas going through them.
Uh-huh.
But we can reroute that gas to a different place.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. It's time to stop this mess.
You gonna come with
Now
me?
go. I will wait for you outside.
Why not come with me?
Everything will be okay, I
We'll go
promise.
together. So if I die, you die too. And then it's your fault. Bullshit thing to crouch through this. Okay. Hi.
Didn't you?
No.
The others before you.
Haha.
No one ever leaves this factory. You're just
Uh-huh.
another doll to add to my collection. Soon you'll be like them, silent, obedient, forever trapped in this perfect form. What is this? No! This wasn't how it was supposed to go!
I love that. But what happens to me now?
Good job. I'm proud of you. Sorry that I've took you over here. What a nightmare. Or I should say, Dollmare.
Haha. Very funny.
Sorry, I'm terrible at telling jokes.
Okay.
I hope we will find a way to make me human again.
I don't think we will. I'm gonna be honest.
Help me.
I guess I have to, right? This doesn't look real. This place doesn't look real. That's so fake. Ending B. Ending A is obviously dying. Jesus. Endless mode? Yo. I could just guess a doll's no issues. Do I have anything else I could do today? Because I've only been streaming for like 2 hours. Do I have anything else I could do? Let's figure it out. Let's see. What do I have that I could possibly do? I should probably go to my library. Okay. What do we got? Not much. No, I'll update that after this. There is not much I can play. Good to know, good to know. Could start that. No, I got nothing. Unfortunately, there is just nothing. Putting it down on my headphones. Jesus. Well, that was Dollmare. I nothing really, not much else I can really do. Hold up. Get here so I can just chill. Uh, since it's like there's like nothing else I could do like today and shit. I think I am just gonna call it here. I know it's a short stream. It's fine. I thought Dollmare would be longer, honestly. I think I just went through it too quickly. Might go through like another time and just try and find all the notes and everything. I also have to get Deltarune, because I want to play that. Probably might only get a demo because again the game is like $30. Hmm. Actually, do I have it already? I'm just dumb and don't realize. Unfortunately, I do not have it already and just didn't realize. I do have a bunch of games that I do want to get, but just can't because it sucks. Anyway, I'm gonna go lie down and just chill, just relax. We do have MonsterCon tomorrow. Got that. So that's with Ellie and Elsie, of course. We have someone new joining us, MonsterCon. I'm actually really excited to stream with them. They seem like a really, really nice person. But yeah, so we got that. Actually really excited for that. Anyway, that's for tomorrow, and then I don't have. Yeah, that's tomorrow, and then I'm not streaming on Friday. I am streaming on Saturday and Sunday, but that's the week planned out. Saturday and Sunday are always gonna be the same two things. Always gonna be and Pokemon. I'm trying to do more like throughout the weeks. Like, well, I can, of course, but it'll be fine. I'll figure it out. Anyway, thank you so much to everyone who came and hung out today. I love you all and appreciate you so much. You're all amazing people. I hope you have lovely days, lovely evenings. You're all amazing. Platonic kisses for all of you. I shall see you when I stream next. Bye bye.